Hi everyone and welcome back to the Data Football Club. According to the bookies, the three players most likely to win the 2024 Ballon d'Or are Vinicius, Rodri and Bellingham. Well, according to the official criteria of the Ballon d'Or, I found that none of these three players should have it. Better yet, they don't even make it to the top 10. If you want to know who should truly win and also learn about some of the great scandalous winners of the previous editions, you are exactly in the right place. So let's get the ball rolling. Like the Champions League, which we discussed in detail in the previous video, the Ballon d'Or has had three main eras. Created in 1956 by the famous French magazine France Football, it was originally awarded annually to the best player of European nationality playing for a European club. From 1995 to 2006, following the Bosman ruling, the Ballon d'Or was awarded to the best player of any nationality playing for a European club. And since 2007, it has been awarded to the best professional player in the world. The trophy has always been awarded by a jury of expert journalists, except from 2010 to 2016, when France Football and FIFA decided to join forces to create a new ceremony, the FIFA Ballon d'Or. Over its short existence, the FIFA Ballon d'Or has been awarded by a jury made up of national team captains, national team managers, and expert journalists. The format, the rules, and most importantly some financial disagreements led to FIFA and France Football parting ways, and the original jury of expert journalists was reinstated. The process for selecting the Ballon d'Or winner is fairly straightforward. Firstly, 30 players are nominated by the France Football editorial team, who assess the players' performances over the past season. Secondly, a panel of around 170 expert journalists, one per country, vote for their top 5 players from the 30 nominees. From 2022, only 100 journalists get a vote, each representing one of the top 100 nations in the FIFA ranking. So how does the voting process really work? Well, as I said, each journalist submits their top 5 and each player is awarded points from 5th to 1st place as follows. 1 point for 5th place through to 4 points for 2nd place and then 6 points for 1st place. The points are then added up and the player with the highest total eventually wins the Ballon d'Or. Notice how I have avoided the question of the Ballon d'Or criteria so far? Well, that's because it's usually the most controversial point and why I'm really making this video. According to France Football, there are 3 clear criteria. The first is the player's individual performance, including their impact, skill and consistency, regardless of their team's success. The second is fair play, and in particular, the player's behavior on and off the pitch, as well as his overall professionalism. And the third one is the team's performance, whether it is the player's club or national team. With these, there will be at least as many rankings as there are people watching this video. But let's try to be quantitative together and come up with a method of ranking players based on their statistics over the course of a season. It won't be perfect, but it will have the merit of giving us a winner based on clear quantitative criteria translated from the 3 main criteria proposed by France Football. For individual performance, we look at the number of games played, the number of goals scored, and the number of assists. You might argue that this discriminates against goalkeepers, defenders, and even midfielders, and you would be absolutely right. However, this is the reality of football at the moment, and it is difficult to quantify the performance of more defensive roles, and this is definitely something that needs to be worked on. Let's quantify fair play, or lack of it, as the number of yellow cards and red cards over the course of a season. Obviously, this only gives a partial picture of a player's sportsmanship, but it has the advantage of being very easy to find online and gives a clear ranking between players. Finally, team performance is probably the hardest to quantify. If I asked you, what was the most important thing to you? Winning the Champions League, the Euro, or the World Cup? What would you say? There might be some consensus that the order should be Domestic League, Champions League, and then World Cup or Euro, but that is a bit controversial. So we'll keep that criteria as more of a deciding factor if we have a tie at the top, which, spoiler alert, is what's going to happen. To gather all these statistics, we only take into account the following competitions: national leagues and cups, European cups with the Champions Europa and Conference Leagues, and international competitions with the World Cup, Euro, Copa America, and any other continental tournaments. Every other competition is discarded. That means no Super Cups or Club World Cups, no Friendlies or Nations League, and no other international tournaments such as the Confederations Cup or the Olympics. The method we can propose to determine the winner is by ranking the players with regards to each statistic and averaging their rankings. More specifically, we can assign a weight to each statistic and add up the ranks of each player multiplied by the weight to get a final score that is used to produce the final ranking. Let's take Haaland as an example. He participated in 45 games, scored 38 goals and gave 5 assists. That ranks him 23rd in matches, 3rd in goals and 22nd in assists. Assuming that matches are less important than goals and assists, we can attribute it a small weight of only 10%, meaning that both assists and goals get a 45% weight to sum to 100. So the metric we can calculate to evaluate Haaland's individual performance is equal to 23 times 0.1 plus 3 times 0.45 plus 22 times 0.45, which is equal to 13.55. Repeating this process for fair play gives us a metric of 1 for Haaland's sportsmanship. After calculating every other player's metric, it appears that Haaland is ranked 15th in individual performance and 1st in fair play. And as a final aggregation step, we can again give a weight of 25% for fair play versus 75% for individual performance, which gives a final score of 11.5 to Erling Haaland. Ranking the players in ascending order of their final score will give us the final ranking. The team's performance is then kept as a deciding factor in case of ties. Again, I insist that this is just one method amongst a wide variety of other ones, but it is easy to explain and to implement for this video. Now, before giving you the final ranking of the 2024 Ballon d'Or with the method presented, I wanted to come back to some controversial Ballon d'Or that have been awarded since 1995. Amongst the 28 Ballon d'Or awarded since the Bosman ruling, the method particularly highlighted 15 recipients that could be contested. And upon further analysis, it appears that among them, 7 really are clearly questionable. Here is the list of the other 8 if you are interested, with for instance Owen and Raoul in 2001 or Zammer and Shearer in 96. And now, let's have a look at the 7 most controversial Ballon d'Or since 1995, from the least obvious to the clearest scandal. In 7th position, we've got Messi's 2010 Ballon d'Or, who quite a few people think should have been awarded to Iniesta or Schneider. Iniesta with the winning goal in the World Cup, and Schneider with his 3 trophies with Inter that season. Well, the proposed method gives it to Xavi instead. Messi obviously scored many more goals, but Xavi had more assists. Xavi was involved in more games than Messi that season, and even though Xavi got more yellow cards, he's still in front with regards to our metric. He also played a central role in winning the first ever World Cup for Spain, which should have probably weighed more in the balance. In the 6th spot, we've got Shevchenko in 2004, who was head-to-head with Deco in terms of stats. They both outperform largely each other in either goals scored or assists, with 29 goals and 4 assists for Shevchenko versus 4 goals and 31 assists for Deco. Deco did get a very large amount of yellow cards, with 19 in total, while Shevchenko only got booked 3 times. However, Deco did win the Champions League with Porto that season and reached the final of the Euro. In 5th position, and it hurts to put him there for all the joy he brought us on the pitch, it's the 2005 Ballon d'Or, Ronaldinho. You might not remember it, but there is another player that season who had better stats than Ronnie, and that player was Frank Lampard. Both players won their National League, but Lampard also won the League Cup and had a better run in the Champions League. The reason why I believe Ronnie got the Ballon d'Or, apart from being the great player we know, is Brazil's win in the Confederations Cup, which we have not taken into account in this analysis. In 4th position, we've got Cristiano Ronaldo in 2013. And the player that should have got it, according to our method, is obviously Lionel Messi. With 5 more goals and 4 more assists, Messi won La Liga with Barcelona with 15 points ahead of Real Madrid. Notice how being French did not bias me in putting Franck Ribéry at the top, even though he won the Champions League that year with Bayern Munich. The method puts him 3rd with his 11 goals and despite his remarkable 23 assists. Well, I may have spoken too soon, as there are a few French players I'm going to have to talk about from now on. In 3rd position, we've got Pavel Nedved in 2003. You may have already guessed who our method put first, as he clearly surpassed every other player that season. I'm obviously talking about one of the greatest legends of Arsenal and French football, Monsieur Thierry Henry. 32 goals, 25 assists for Henry, while Nedved scored 14 goals and gave 11 assists. Both got one trophy that season, the FA Cup for Henry and the Serie A for Nedved. And Nedved had a better run than Henry in the Champions League, reaching the final, but Juventus ended up losing it. Maybe because Nedved was not on the pitch. In second position, we've got the Ballon d'Or 2018, won by Luka Modric, that our method gives to yet another French legend, Monsieur Antoine Griezmann. 33 goals and 19 assists for Griezmann that season, while Modric had 5 goals and 9 assists. That's around 6 times more goals and twice as many assists for Griezmann. Looking at the team's performance, Griezmann played a central role in France winning the World Cup and Atletico winning the Europa League. Modric did win the Champions League with Real Madrid, but they also finished below Atletico in La Liga. And finally, in the first position, the most scandalous one will not surprise anyone, it is none other than Fabio Cannavaro in 2006. I'm not going to talk at length about it, because it is too painful for me, but I'll just say that our method gives it to Thierry Henry, even though any of the 4 following players in the official ranking that year had better reasons to get it. Don't take my word for it. Cannavaro's first reaction when they announced he won was that he thought it was a joke. Needless to mention that Juventus also got retrograded in Serie B that year because of cheating scandals. Fast forwarding to 2024, and for the big reveal, who should win or who should have won the 2024 Ballon d'Or this year? As I said in the intro, the winner is expected to be between Bellingham, Vinicius and Rodri. Well, with the proposed ranking method, they are respectively 12th, 16th and 14th. Bear in mind that this only takes into account the player's individual performance and fair play. Are you already shouting in disbelief? Well, keep it up for what's coming next. Let's look at the top 5 players of the ranking. In 5th position, we have a tie between 2 players playing for the same club, a club that had one of the most remarkable undefeated streaks in the history of football last season, Bayer Leverkusen. And these 2 players are Florian Wirtz and Alejandro Grimaldo. Using the team's performance as the deciding factor, only the national team performance will count as they both played for Leverkusen, and with that in mind, Grimaldo, who won the Euro with Spain, naturally gets the 5th spot. In 4th position, a player that won the Premier League and consistently performed well over the past few years, we've got Phil Foden. Ranking 3rd, a player who has a very cold way of celebrating his goals, Chelsea's pride and Man City's loss, Cole Palmer. In 2nd position, a player that is becoming more and more controversial with the years and is far from the peaceful player he used to be in Monaco when he won the Liga and reached the semi-final of the Champions League, Kylian Mbappé. And finally, who should be the Ballon d'Or winner according to this ranking? Well, the number 1 spot goes to another English player. One that still has not claimed any title in more than 10 years. You probably have guessed by now, and if not, it is Prince Harry Kane. With 47 goals, he's the top scorer in the 30 nominees, and with only 3 yellow cards and 0 red cards, he is an example of fair play. Of course, the team performance is not really on his side, but as we kept this criteria as a deciding factor, his individual performance significantly outperforms others with regards to our metric, and thus makes him our 2024 Ballon d'Or. Well done, Harry, for your first trophy. To wrap up this video, I wanted to add that in 2024, the Ballon d'Or ceremony will also award 9 other trophies, 6 for men's football and 3 for women's football. The Yashin Trophy for the best men's goalkeepers, the Gerd Müller Trophy for the best men's striker of the year, if we needed one more, the Socrates Award for the best humanitarian work, and the Copa Trophy for the best men's player under 21. 4 additional awards will also be introduced with the best men and women's football clubs and coaches. Oh, and by the way, let me know if you want me to do a similar video for the other awards like the Ballon d'Or Féminin next year. With that being said, I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please hit that like button and share it with your teammates. And if you want to join the Data Football Club, please subscribe and don't forget to click on the bell icon. See you soon for another video where football's the game and data's the goal. Bye bye!